Ready? Action. I'm waiting for the...
So what are you doing?
We're going to break down a whole chicken and do several different bits and pieces with it. We're going to start with making a stock. We're going to poach the breasts. We're going to poach the legs. We're going to end up with 2 dishes to start with, and then obviously you can use a stock for soups and all sorts of things. First and foremost, we need to get the stock going. Pan of water, and then we just need basic white mirepoix is what we call it, and they're just the white vegetables of celery, leek, onion, garlic, and then we just add to that all the hard herbs, rosemary, thyme, and bay leaf, and a few black peppercorns as well, just to give it a bit of a kick. Take the top off, tip flat side, always put it on the chopping board. That way your onion doesn't roll around. Down to the bottom, like so.
What, you got like a head of garlic, 1 leek, 1 onion for what? 3 litres of water, 2 litres of water?
2 litres probably. Probably a little bit too much veg, but it's okay. So 1 stick, basically 1 leek, 1 stick, 1 small head of garlic, 1 onion. I mean, you can probably do half, but at the same time, 1 of everything is enough. Peel the top layer off. Have a bin. Probably not the nicest thing to look at on camera, but this is another thing when you're doing prep in the kitchen. Always have a little container just to put your bits and pieces in. Cut it in half and then in half again. The garlic, I'm not going to peel it, I'm just going to cut it straight through the centre like that, and then again cut it similar size to the onions, so it's all a similar size and shape. Same with the leek. So onions go in, garlic, celery, leeks all in, peppercorns, just a good pinch, so it's probably about 10, 15, and then all your hard herbs as well. A couple of bay leaves. Just tear them open. Bit of rosemary, thyme, fresh ingredients to go to make a nice flavoured stock before we add the chicken. I'm going to add the chicken first and then bring it up to the boil with everything in it. If you put it in boiling water, all the fats from the chicken just boil into the water. Bring it up from cold, and then all the fats come together. They come to the surface and we skim it. So this is what this is set up for, which I'll show you when that happens. So I'm just going to break the chicken down onto the board, have it with the rear end facing you, the neck end facing the top, and we're just going to break this down. So what we're going to do, we're going to make a stock, a method with the breasts, and then a method with the legs. As you do, make a little incision on both sides, and then we're going to pop the thigh bone out, okay? Not everybody's going to like watching this, but it needs to be done. Someone's got to do it, and that's 1 leg. Then we're going to trim off the wings. We're going to use these later on for a sauce. We're going to roast them off and make a chicken cream sauce. So they go to one side, and then just going to remove the back end. Just cut through that. That's going to go. Okay, so this is trimmings. We're going to roast them for the sauce. This is our crown, which we're going to poach, and these are our legs, which we're going to poach as well.
Have you took the wishbone out of the chicken?
Not yet.
Okay.
So the legs, we're going to poach the legs, and then we're going to flake off the meat and use them to make a curry sauce later. And now I'm going to remove the wishbone. The reason we do this, when you remove the breasts later on, you don't lose any meat. If you don't remove the wishbone, half of that, the big part of the breast, stays on the carcass. Get everything off the bone that you can. Scrape down the bone. Now, depending on your chicken, sometimes you get lucky and you get a whole wishbone, sometimes they're broken. We generally, as a rule, we don't throw anything away until we've got all the flavour out of it. So there's the crown. That's ready to be poached as soon as the stock comes up to the boil. We're starting to get the foam at the top, so it's the fats and everything coming out of the chicken, the impurities that we don't want.
Why don't you want them?
It's fat. Basically, if you don't remove this now, when you chill your stock down, you'll have a big layer of fat on top of it, which is fine, you can remove it, but what you want to try and achieve is a clean stock. So I'm just going to go around this before it goes crazy. I'm just going to turn it down. So when it comes up to the boil as it's just done, so all that foam comes up to the top. You need a nice ladle.
See Tony's watching. I'm forever telling Tony.
Tony, Torman, all of you guys out there, Bojan, all of you, stand over your stocks, stand over your sauces, give them the love that they deserve. That's You have to get rid of that stuff. The whole point of this is just to show you what you can do with the chicken. We've all got time on our hands at the minute, so it's quite nice to learn how to do it. So that's the initial boil. You know, we always say the initial boil is the most important boil because that's where it generally, all your impurities come up to the top, and you've got to catch them before they go back in, basically. So we always stand over it, bring it up to the boil, turn it down so it's at a simmer, give it a nice skim. That probably took me about 2 or 3 minutes to spend time getting all those impurities out. Turn it down to a simmer, and we're going to just leave that for 20 minutes, and then we'll strain it off. That's been on for 10 minutes. Before we take that off, I'm just going to poach the crown. It's going to increase the chicken flavour because we're putting even more chicken inside. Just get a timer ready. For things like this, you need to use timers. I'm just going to put 15 minutes. It's on a nice simmer. You need to make sure your water's at the same temperature, and then drop it in. And we put the head down. So it goes in head first, basically. And then we just pop that in the stock, and then just roll it in, making sure the stock fills the cavity and it's sunk straight to the bottom. 15 minutes, we're going to remove them, and then we're going to rest it. Right, so that's 15 minutes. Lift it out very, very gently and make sure the liquid runs out the cavity. And we just turn it over.
So why'd you put it that way up?
Because I want the heat to come out of the breasts. If I put it the other way up, the plate will stop the heat coming out of the breasts. I'm going to take the legs out as well. They've taken half an hour. So the crown, 15, the legs, half an hour. So we're just going to let them rest for the time being. Going to strain off the stock.
What happens if you don't have a strainer?
I think everybody's got a strainer of some sort, a colander, a sieve. That's our stock. Nice chicken stock, nice and fragrant. And then we've got our poached crown of chicken, poached legs, which we're going to do 2 different things with. And with this stock, we're also going to make 2 different sauces. Onto a dish, which is, I used to make it years ago when I had no money. Buy chicken legs, poach them off, make a stock, use the stock to make the sauce, use the stock to make the rice. So we need to get the rice going on now. So it's like coconut curried chicken. We finish it with a little bit of cream and stuff and lots of fresh herbs, and it's, yeah, it's tasty. So it's quite simple. First, warm pan, a little bit of oil. Just need to mention that I've already washed the rice. So I always recommend washing rice, wherever it comes from, just give it a wash.
What kind of rice is that?
Basmati. Cinnamon sticks, a few cloves, probably been a bit heavy on the cloves, and some cardamom pods, and they just start popping. The rice, I don't want to fry it, and basically one cup per person. So we're going to add our chicken stock. So the stock is like a fingernail above the rice. Don't chuck all your stock in at once. We're going to keep an eye on it. Really, really low heat. Going to put a bay leaf in there as well. Again, ripping it just to release the flavour a little bit. Just going to make a little cover, also known as a cartouche. So I'm going to fold it in half, then in half again. Go to the point, and then over to the point, and over to the point again. You measure your pan. So the tip of the cartouche goes to the centre of the pan, and that's where you want to cut. Just cut it around. And I'm just going to cut a little hole in the middle just to let the heat out a little bit of the middle. That's our cartouche, okay? So that's just a paper lid. Nice, light lid. Boiling, I'm just going to turn it down a little bit more than that. So meanwhile, while that's cooking, we're going to prepare the sauce. Down my fingertips. That's your onion ready to dice. And then through the onion you go, just to loosen all the seeds inside. Just give it a little flick. That'll be enough for the sauce. You don't want too much, so half a good size half of an onion. Chop the garlic and the ginger. That's enough for that. Chilies. I'm like using the round of the knife. What we're going to do with this pan, it's not stupidly hot. If it's stupidly hot, then obviously it's going to burn everything. But you need a good temperature in there. It needs to be smoking a little bit of light olive oil in there. The onions in, and we get them started. Okay. garam masala and the turmeric.
So like a teaspoon?
Yeah.
2 teaspoons?
So I'm cooking here probably enough for 2 people. Give it a stir. Good pinch of salt in. So you're beginning to get those flavours to come together. Once the onions start to soften a little bit, then I'm going to add the rest of my ingredients. Loads of ginger, a little bit of chilli because I love it, a little bit of garlic because I love it, but generally ginger is my favourite. Got to cook this out because it's very raw. Garlic is very raw. Ginger is very raw. It's really, really strong otherwise, so you've got to cook it out. Keep on top of it, don't walk away from it, keep it stirring. Now I'm going to add a bit of my chicken stock. There's 2 reasons for this. A, it's what we call deglazing. So any of that, like the sediment, any of the bits, spices stuck to the bottom of the pan, this will make sure that it washes them off and it all stays in your sauce. And you know, when you come to serving your sauce, everything is inside the sauce. There's nothing stuck to the bottom of the pan. All that flavour's inside. So a good couple of ladles, and I'm going to turn it up full heat to reduce it down. Now you can walk away from it for a minute to clean down. I'm going to boil that as quickly as possible, and I'm going to reduce it down to like a syrup. So you're going to have this really strong, chickeny, spicy syrup in the base of your pan, which is when we're going to add our coconut milk. I just need to wait probably 5 minutes for that to reduce down. So this is it right now. It's quite liquidy. We're going to reduce it right down so it's a nice thick syrup.
Okay, so we'll come back in 5 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to clear down and we'll come back. Gone away, had a wipe down, come back, and this is where we are. So I kept saying like a syrup. I guess it's not like a sugar syrup, but it's a real thick concentrate of all those ingredients. All I'm going to do now is add coconut milk. I'm not going to put it all in. So we've got this kind of deep yellow. I want to reduce it a little bit. It's a little bit runny. So I'm just going to bring that up to the boil now. Cook it down a little bit, and then a little. Nice balance of spice, nice balance of heat. So we've got our rice, which is now cooked. Now we need to put the chicken legs, the chicken meat, into the sauce, and then we can serve it. You just peel off the skins. And we just peel it off, and it's beautifully cooked. It's just been in that stock for half an hour. So you're making a stock whilst you're cooking the chicken legs. Then you're cooking the crown as well. And you've got all this lovely poached chicken, which has got, you know, all the flavour from all the vegetables and herbs and all that stuff. It's all in there. You don't want to waste any of this. So all the chicken goes in. So we're just going to marinate that for a little while inside. We're going to add some fresh coriander, some fresh mint leaves, and some fresh basil. So you've got this real fragrant herbs. Really, really gently. Again, fingers flat to the side of the knife. While that's warming up, I'm just going to serve up the rice. So remove the cartouche, remove some of the spices that you can see, the bay leaf. The sauce has come up straight away. And this is home cooking, remember. Home cooking. Chicken curry.
Next, what we're going to show you how to do is with some of the fresh chicken stock that Nick made earlier. We have the trim wings that Nick prepped earlier. I've got the poached breasts, which I'll show you to do that later. But what we're basically going to make is restaurant-y cream sauce. There's a few more ingredients, but the finished product's really high quality, and you know, if you want to do something nice tomorrow night for dinner on a Friday night, something a little bit more extravagant, then you'll really taste the difference in this. It's a good base recipe for lots of different things. Pan, olive oil in there. You see it's quite hot. Wings, tips, anything like that. There's quite a lot of fat in there, and you know, fat equals flavour basically. It might spit a little bit. See, nice crackle. But again, That doesn't mean that you turn it down, it just means you keep your hands out of the way. You want a nice caramelization on the skin. Pinch of salt in there, just to start off the seasoning as well. Clove of garlic, your onion, finely sliced. So a nice caramelization you can see inside. Some star anise. Before you put the shallots in there, you want to get these in and really release the flavors from the spice. What I've got here on the front is malt vinegar, whipping cream or single cream, and fresh chicken stock. And I'll go through the stages with those in a second. So we'll get the garlic in there and we'll get the onions in there. I'm just gonna let that cook down a couple of minutes. Get the onions nicely caramelized. Fresh bay leaf inside, fresh little bit of thyme. We're gonna deglaze the bottom, all of the nice flavors of the chicken, all sticking to the bottom of the pan, the fats. We wanna get that flavor to make sure we don't lose it. We bring it off the bottom, and how to do that is by using a little bit of malt vinegar. Probably about a tablespoon, I'd say. And it's gonna fizz up. And that's just gonna deglaze the bottom of the pan. There's a lot of dark, rich colors in there. So now I'm gonna add the chicken stock, which is about 500 mils. Bring that up to the simmer, and I want that to reduce by half. And then we'll add the cream. Single cream here. And you want to add a similar amount, about 500 mils, or the same as chicken stock really. Give it a stir, nice pinch of salt. Simmer away for about 10 minutes. Pull it off, let it cool down, and then we'll strain it off, and that's it, ready to go. Nice sharp knife. Try not to do too many cuts and just go straight down the back. And then what we're going to do is turn it around, and then we'll go down the right side of the backbone. Just run the knife down the center. It's easier to do when it's cold. And then you've got the wing, the wing there. And that'll give you one nice breast. Just turn it upside down. If you have a nice clean line, you get a nice clean skin right the way around the outside. If we go back to the sauce, so that's boiled up now. I'm going to pull that off and leave it to cool down. Nice consistency. Check it for seasoning now. For me, that's enough. Pass it through a strainer. Just press it to make sure you get all the nice flavour through. It's chicken. So the sauce is finished now. What I'll do is keep this on the side. I'm going to show you how to crisp up the nice chicken breast. Cast iron pan, a little bit of olive oil, a little bit of salt all over, a little bit of salt on the flesh side, and as that goes in, that's going to get the maximum surface area touching the skin to get it crispy. Get it on and do that. And you know if it's going to spit, it's only going to spit onto there. You just need to make sure the skin's as dry as possible really before you put it in the pan. And you want to render down the skin so it's nice and crispy and golden brown. Turn it over, beautiful. You can see that. And then this is the point really, you've got the oven on, stick that in the oven 3 or 4 minutes and you're ready to go. Saute pan. We're going to use a little bit of butter as well. Spinach tends to be about 80% water, so it looks like quite a lot for one person, but this is more to show you about how we do the dish and what you can use the sauce for, okay? Good pinch of salt in there. Looks like a lot, but again, the water washes most of it away. A little bit of butter. And you've got a nice buttery emulsion. Take it out like that. Middle of the plate. And the chicken breast. Just arrange the spinach down the center of the plate now. Use the start with the heel of the knife. Run it down the center. Over the top. Just straight out of the pan. And then you've got the nice creamy chicken velouté, some spinach, and poached chicken breast.